Hey everyone, Erin here. For anybody that has not met me, thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be taking you through a 30-minute beginner style Pilates workout. This is just to give you a little bit of an introduction as to what is to come and what Pilates is all about. So about a year ago now, I put out a survey to figure out whether there'd be any interest in some online Pilates classes, and I did get a really good response from a lot of you, but a lot of you were a little bit more interested in what Pilates entails and what it's all about. So some of you had never done Pilates before and wanted a little bit of an introduction. So here I am just to give you 30 minutes of a basic, nice and easy class to begin with today. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me after this video. Feel free to share it around, get the word out there to all your friends. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's class. Without further ado, we will get straight into it. All we need today is a mat and a drink bottle, nice and handy. I don't have a drink bottle today, but that's okay, we'll be fine. It's only 30 minutes, we're all good. We're gonna start lying down onto our backs. Awesome, so lying down onto our backs, feet are gonna come down to our mat, knees are bent up to the sky, hands are gonna come down by our hips. We're gonna start with some basic glute bridges. So you might have done these before at the gym, nice and easy to begin with. Feet are hip distance apart, knees are tracking in line with those feet as well. Hands are resting down for a bit of balance here. We're gonna start with a tuck and roll of those hips. So tuck that pelvis, squeeze those bums, slowly activate them. We're peeling up one vertebrae at a time to the sky. Press those hips to the ceiling, and then inhale as we restack that spine back to our mat. So exhale as we tuck and roll. That pelvis is the first to leave, last to come back down. Nice big press up through those bums to the sky with those hips. Inhale as we roll it down. We really want to tuck that pelvis to limit that feeling in our lower back. So we want to make sure we're not feeling this into our lower back here. Really tucking and rolling at that pelvis to begin with. Heavy into those heels as we lift. We want to make sure those knees aren't flaring out to the side or collapsing inwards as we come up into that bridge. Every time we get to the top, we want a nice long line from our knees down to our neck. And if we like that pressure into those hands, if it gives us a nice stable base, we can stay here. If we'd like a little bit more, however, those arms can float through the ceiling. Palms can face inwards. Tuck and roll, lift up, press heavy into those heels, squeeze through those bumps. Inhale as we restack that spine. So breath is very important in Pilates. We always exhale with that effort. So exhaling as we press up through those bumps, setting those hips up nice and high. Inhale as we're restacking that spine, really articulating it back down onto our mat. Should be getting nice and warm through those glutes here. Getting up a tiny bit higher with every rep. In 20, we're going to lift those hips to the ceiling. We're going to work through a little pulse. A little bit of a burner into those bums. 15 to go. We've got 10. In 7, hips are up. 5, 3, 2, and 1. Hips are all the way up to the sky. Tiny little pulses here. 1 inch up, 1 inch down. Make it burn through those bumps. For 8. A little bit higher if we can. Really squeeze. 5. Hug the knees in. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly restack that spine back down to our mat. Hug those knees into our chest. Have a little rock out from side to side here. Then those feet are going to come back down to our mat. Hip distance apart. Once again, knees are bent up. This time those fingertips are going to come up to our temples. However, elbows are going to be out nice and wide. We're going to work through those abs now. Now, importantly, through those abs, when we're working into those abs in Pilates, we want to make sure that back is connected to the floor. So notice how my back is now arching off the ground. I can slide a hand underneath our back. We don't want to feel that gap ever. So really pressing through those abs, drawing that spine down towards the mat. So nice and strong through those abs always. As those shoulder blades go back down, we want to make sure we're not arching through that spine. Inhale as we press that back to the floor. Exhale as we crunch up, look down towards those knees, squeeze through that belly. Inhale as we roll it back down to the mat. So exhale, crunch up, squeeze through that belly. Inhale as we roll it back down. As we crunch up, closing that gap between ribs and hips here. Big squeeze through those tummies. Inhale as we restack that spine onto the mat, shoulder blades come down. Now, keeping in mind here, we don't want that back to arch. So as those shoulder blades come down, we're not arching through that spine. We're keeping those backs connected to the mat. Think about always activating through those lower abs. Now, whenever we're here as well, if we feel this into our neck, we might be working through that neck instead of those abs. So we can interlace those fingertips, pop those hands behind our head, but we want to be pressing that head nice and heavy into those hands so that we're lifting with those abs and not that neck. Keep using that exhale as we crunch it up. And if we would like a little bit more here, we don't have to take this option, but there is an add-on if we would like. And that is going to be those legs are going to lift to tabletop. So legs can come up, knees are stacked over those hips, shins are parallel to the ceiling, and we continue that same crunch here. So it should be a nice big burn through those abs. We've got no surprises with this one, just getting nice and warm into those tummies. 15 seconds, we get a little rock out of those knees. In 10. 7, keep making sure that back is connected to the floor, knees aren't drawing into our chest. They're staying stacked over those hips, or feet are on the ground. We've got 8. 5, 3, 2, and 1. Lower it down. Awesome. Arms can come out to the side. Have a little windscreen wiper out of those knees. Little rock out here. Have a little second. Then from here, we are going to come down onto our side. So facing towards me, lying down onto our side. Doesn't matter which one, because we are going to do both legs, of course. We're going to lie down onto that bottom shoulder. Feet are going to be bent, or feet are going to be back in line with the body, which means knees are bent. So feet are back in line with the body, like we're against a wall here. Hips are nice and stacked. Draw that side waist away from the floor, top hand to our top hip. The reason we draw that side waist up is so that that spine stays nice and stacked. So we've got that spine in a nice long line. Feet are going to stay glued together here. Knees stay bent. We're going to exhale as we lift that top knee up towards the sky. Inhale as we lower it back down to meet that bottom leg. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower it down. Keeping nice and controlled here. Hips stay forward the whole time. We want to make sure those hips aren't rolling towards the sky. So we're not rolling through those hips. They're staying nice and still. All of that movement is getting done through that top glute. Lifting and lowering into that top leg. Just warming up a little bit into those glutes here. If we're feeling good and we'd like a little bit more already, those feet can float up to the center point of our body. So feet are just hovering off the floor, continue that same clam, still making sure we're not rolling through those hips. Nice big squeeze into that top butt cheek as we send that knee high to the sky. We won't be working here for too long. We're just getting a nice big burn into those outer glutes. In 20, we're going to lower down through both legs. We've got a little surprise on this leg. In 15, we lower it down. We've got 10. 7, little reset in 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down through both legs. From here, we're going to lift that knee to the sky. Tap those toes together, and then we're going to lift those toes to the sky, tap the knees together. So internal, external rotation through those hips here. Nice big burn. That bum is already nice and warm. We've only got 10. Keep getting that knee up nice and high with every rep. Every time that knee goes up to the ceiling, get it up nice and high. 7, 5, little punch out of those glutes in 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down through that top leg. Little punch out through those bums here. Top foot is going to now step in front of that bottom knee. We're going to be working through that bottom inner thigh this time. So head can rest back down. Top hand can either rest down onto the ground or still onto that top hip. Bottom leg is going to extend out nice and long. We're going to point through those tippy toes, lock out through that knee. Show that ankle towards the ceiling. Inhale at the bottom. As we exhale, we're going to lift up through that whole thigh. Just that hip stays connected to the floor. Inhale as we lower down through that leg. So exhale, lift it up. Inhale, lower it down. Just that hip is connected to the floor as we lift and lower. And we want to be making sure we're working nice and slow. So nice and controlled here. Time under tension through those inner thighs. So controlled on the way up and on the way down, nice and slow. Working the whole time. Top leg, if we prefer, can rest down onto the ground. Knee can rest down onto the ground as well. Might feel a nice little stretch out through that top glute while we're here as well. We really want to point through those bottom legs, really lock out through that knee. Showing that inner thigh towards the ceiling. Big squeeze as we lift. Thigh comes all the way up off the mat. So as you can see, just my hip is connected to the floor as I lift and lower that bottom leg. Beautiful work here. We've got another 30 seconds, getting nice and warm into that inner thigh. In 20, we're going to lift that leg up. We're going to pulse it to the ceiling. A little bit of an extra burn here. Nice and warm. We've got 10. Leg stays lifted in 7. 5, 3, 2, and 1. Leg stays lifted. Tiny little pulses here for 8. 6, get that leg a little higher for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower it down. Awesome. We can roll onto our backs for a little stretch here. Feet together, knees out wide. Have a little butterfly out of those legs. And then when we are ready, we're going to roll over onto our tummies. So roll it all the way over, grab a quick drink on the way if we need one. We are lying down onto our bellies here. Feet are going to be spread out nice and wide. We're going to squeeze those glutes, so we're activating through those glutes, pressing those hips to the ground. Fingertips are going to come up to our temples here. Elbows are going to be out nice and wide for a back extension. Really tucking those hips into the ground, activating through those legs. Legs stay nice and relaxed, but those glutes are activated. From here, upper back is going to lift up off the floor. Chest comes up. Squeeze into those shoulder blades, try and get them to touch, then slow and controlled as we lower back down. So lift up through that upper back, squeeze those shoulder blades together, elbows stay out wide, fingertips stay glued to the temples. Working into those postural muscles here. Keep that neck nice and long. So eye gaze is down towards our mat. Make sure we're not straining through that neck. We are not looking forwards here. We do have optional add-ons with this one as well. If this is enough, we can stay where we are. Just working into that back extension. If we would like a little bit more, next time we lift up, we're going to hold into that upper back. We're going to extend the arms out long, bend them back in before we lower it down. So lift it up, hold, extend the arms, bend them back in, lower it down to the mat. Perfect. As those arms extend, we want to still make sure those shoulder blades are squeezing in towards each other, so really activating through those postural muscles. Those upper backs are burning. 25 seconds to go before we lift and hold into that upper back. In 20. We've got another 10 here. We lift and hold into that back extension. In 7, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Lift it all the way up, holding into that upper back, just bending and extending at the arms now. For 10. Squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit closer together. 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower back down. Awesome. Head can rest down onto those hands. Legs are going to come in a little bit narrower, so a little bit more towards each other. We're going to activate once again through those glutes. This time upper body stays relaxed. Next time we exhale, we're going to lift one leg up towards the ceiling, point through those toes, work through that hamstring and glute. Inhale, lower it down. Exhale, lift the other leg up, point through those toes. Inhale, lower it down. So exhale, lift it up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, swap it over. Locking out through those knees once again. So we're going to be kicking through those hips. Keep that leg nice and long. Point through those toes. Make that leg look pretty. Relax through the upper body. So head can just be nice and relaxed onto those hands. We want to be squeezing through those glutes and hamstrings as we lift that single leg up. And once again, nice and controlled as we lower back down to the floor. In 20, we're going to lift both legs up off the mat. We're going to finish with a little flutter kick. 15 to go. We've got 10. We lift both legs in 8. 5, 3, 2, and 1. Both legs lift. Tiny little kicks here. Kicking from those hips. Just those hips are connected to the floor. Get the thighs all the way up. Squeezing into those bums and hamstrings. Get those legs up nice and high. 20 seconds. Already at 15. Get them up even higher for the last 12. 8. Keep it going for 6. 4. Child's pose in 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower it back down. Let's press it back for a quick child's pose. Feet together, knees out wide here. Sink down through that chest, reach the arms forwards. Have a little massage out of that lower back. Then when we are ready, slowly coming up, grab a quick drink if we need one. We're going to come down onto our other side. So we are lying down onto our other side this time. Back down onto the floor. Just lying down onto our side. Head goes down onto that bottom shoulder. Make sure it's the opposite shoulder as to what we're working. Otherwise, we'll be working the same leg once again. Other leg is now on top. We're going to bend through those knees. Feet are back in line with the rest of the body. Head rests down. Side waist is drawing up and away from the mat. Top hand to that top hip. Feet stay glued together. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale as we lift that top knee to the ceiling. Inhale as we lower it back down. Hips once again stay nice and square towards the front. Stacked one on top of the other, making sure we're not rolling to the ceiling. So we're not rolling through those hips as we lift that top knee. All of that work is getting done through those outer glutes as we lift that leg. Big squeeze into that side. Side waist stays up and away from the floor once again to keep that spine protected. So keeping that spine stacked. We've got those add-ons to come with this leg as well. If we took the option on the other side, those heels can float up off the floor, up to the center point of our body. We continue with that same clamp. Inhale on the way down, exhale as it lifts. Beautiful work. This side won't take too long to fire up. Those glutes start to activate pretty quickly. Those bums start to burn. Mine certainly is. In 20, we're going to lower down through both legs for a little reset. 15 to go here. Big squeeze for 10. We lower it down in 7, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down for a quick reset here. From here, we're going to send that knee up to the sky, tap those toes, and then send that knee down to meet the other. Toes go up to the sky. So internal, external rotation through those top hips. Nice big burn through the side of those glutes. Get that knee up nice and high. We've got 10 seconds. We're all okay. 8, 6, little punch out in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower that top leg down. Little punch out through those glutes. Let's roll it onto our backs. Amazing work. Feet are going to be hip distance apart, back down to the ground. Knees are back up towards the sky. Hands are going to reach down by our sides once again. This time we're going to be working through those obliques. We're going to crunch up through that upper body. Shoulder blades come up off the mat. And then we're going to tap one ankle at a time. Little penguin crunch here, working into those obliques. Close that gap between ribs and hips on either side as we reach over. And while we're here, we want to make sure those knees are staying nice and still. So keep eyes on those knees. Make sure they're not swaying from side to side. It's very easy to get a little bit messy here, a little bit sloppy through those legs. But we want to keep those legs nice and still. Just working into those abs. Try and keep those shoulder blades hovering off the mat. Squeeze through those bellies. Doesn't take long, once again, for those obliques to kick in. Should be getting nice and warm through those abs. We've got 20 seconds. Stay with me. Keep it up. Belly should be burning. A little bit of a taste of what's to come for those abs. It's always a full body workout. We try and incorporate a lot of core into these because it makes us feel nice and strong. We've got 10, 7, keep it up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly roll it down, arms out to the side, have a little rock out. And then when we are ready, legs are going to go out nice and wide, this time onto our mat. So heels are going to be onto the edges of our mat. Toes are going to be pointing out to the sides of the room this time. So nice and wide through that stance. Knees are going to be tracking in line with those toes. So nice and wide through those legs. Hands are going to start down by our hips. Once again, we're coming into a glute bridge this time with those legs out wide, which means those outer glutes are going to kick in a little bit quicker. From here, just like we did before, we're going to tuck and roll at that pelvis. Slowly peel up one vertebrae at a time to the ceiling. Big squeeze at the top into those outer glutes. And then inhale as we restack that spine back to the mat. So exhale, tuck and roll, lift up, press those hips to the ceiling. Nice and heavy into those heels. Inhale as we restack that spine back to the floor. Awesome, trying to get that nice long line from our knees to our neck every time we lift up, tucking that pelvis, making sure we're not feeling this into our lower back. And just like we did before, if we'd like a little more, arms are going to float up to the sky, palms face inwards, just taking that pressure out of those hands. One last little add-on to come here. If we'd like to take it, feel free. If we don't want to take it, stay where we are, peel it back if we need to. Hands can come back to the mat. If we would like that add-on, however, next time those hips go up to the sky, we're going to lift and lower those heels. So lift both heels, lower those hips. So exhale, lift it up, press those hips to the sky, squeeze the bums, lift the heels, lower the heels back to the mat and lower those hips. One vertebrae at a time. So you're taking all those add-ons or none of the add-ons if we would like. Make it your own workout. Feel free to rest, grab a quick drink if we need to between every exercise. Make it your own. Those outer glutes should be starting to kick in or well and truly kicked in. Mine certainly are. Especially if we're lifting and lowering those heels. We're all lifting and lowering those hips. In 20, we're going to lift those hips to the sky. We're just going to lift and lower those heels. If those hands are on the ground, they can stay there. In 15, we've got 10. In 8, hips are up. In 6, 4, 3, 2. Next time those hips lift, hold them to the sky, just lifting and lowering into those heels, up onto those tippy toes, down onto those heels. For 10. Squeeze through the bums, get them up a little bit higher, maybe a centimeter higher if we can. 7, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower those heels down, lower those hips, hug those knees into our chest. Have a little massage from side to side here. Awesome. While we are here hugging those knees, let's reach up through that upper body, make a little ball with that body. Shoulder blades are up off the mat, knees are tucked to our chest. Little ball through the body here. Working into those abs one last time before we come to standing. Beautiful. On our inhale, we're going to extend through arms and legs up towards the ceiling. On our exhale, we tuck back into that ball. Inhale. Exhale as we make that ball with that body. Shoulder blades stay lifted. Back stays connected to the floor as we lift and lower those legs. If we would like a little less here, those arms and legs are going high to the sky every time we release. However, if we would like a little bit more, arms and legs can go out nice and long, reaching away from the center of our body. If we are taking that option, however, to send those arms and legs long, we want to make sure that back is still connected to the mat. So make sure we're not arching through that spine as those legs and arms go long. Just work within our own range. Might look a little bit different for everybody. We might like to find that nice mid-range, that middle point, Or we might like to go fully long through that body, or we might like to send those arms and legs up to the sky. So whatever works for us. Every time we exhale, pull it in, make that little ball shape with the body, close that gap between those ribs and hips. Squeeze through those abs. No surprises here, no pulses. We are just going to bring it back to center in 15. We've got 10. We come to standing, finishing there in 8. 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Finish off that last one. Try and get that little extra rep wherever we can. Have a little rock out from side to side through those abs. Grab a quick drink before we come up to standing to finish us off here. So we are going to come up to standing, then we're going to have a nice big stretch at the end of this standing leg work. Beautiful. From here, left leg is going to step forward, right leg is going to step back. We are into a lunging position. Feet are hip distance apart, so those feet are on train tracks, hip distance apart, hands are to our hips. Body's up nice and proud here, so chest is proud, shoulders are back. Head is up nice and tall. From here, on our inhale, we're going to lower down into those legs. On our exhale, we straighten out through both legs to standing. So inhale, lower it down. Send that back knee towards the ground. Exhale as we drive through those legs. Squeeze the glutes at the top. We want to get an equal bend through both knees here. So back knee is dropping down underneath that body. Front knee is stacked over that front ankle. A little bit of balance work here as well, especially when I'm trying to look over to the side. Use that exhale once again. The effort here is on the way up. So as we're driving through that front heel and back toes to standing, we're exhaling with that effort. Hips stay square towards the front. Make sure that body stays nice and proud. So that chest stays proud. Eye gaze is forward, head is up nice and tall to the ceiling. Back thigh will be burning here, front glute, all of those legs. In 20, we're going to bring it down nice and low. We are going to pulse into that lunge. 15 here, legs are burning. We've got 10. Lower it down in 8. 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower it down, tiny little pulses. 1 inch up, 1 inch down here. Hold into that lunge for 8. Big burn through the legs. 5, stay with me. No one's coming up. 3, 2, and 1. Stand it up, little shake out into those legs. Feet are hip distance apart. We can face towards the front. Hands are back to our hips for a calf raise here. Now we do like to work through those calf raises just to break up those glutes a little bit, so you will find these in quite a lot of the classes. Feet are hip distance apart, tiny tuck through those pelvises, draw in through those lower abs, body's up nice and tall once again. Inhale at the bottom, exhale as we come up onto those tippy toes, send those heels away from the floor. Inhale as we slowly lower those heels back down to the mat. So we want to keep it nice and controlled here. So nice and slow on the way up, big squeeze through those calves. And then even slower as those heels come back down to the ground. Make sure we're not just dropping through those heels. Working through that ankle stability. Squeezing into the back of the legs. Knees stay locked out here. We want that tiny tuck of the pelvis. We want to be drawing in through those lower abs. We're always activated through that core. Eye gaze is forward. Think about reaching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling every time we come up onto those tippy toes. We won't be here for too long. We're just breaking up those lunges. In 10, we bring it up to the top. We're going to pulse it out to finish. In 8, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way up to the top. Tiny little lifts and lowers. 1 centimeter up, 1 centimeter down. Squeeze through those calves for 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower it down. A little bit of balance work there as well. Roll out through those ankles here. Then we are going to turn lengthways, long ways on our mat once again. Other foot is going to go forward. So right foot for me is going to go forward. Left foot is going to step back into that lunge position. So we've got that nice big step between those legs, and we've got those legs on those train tracks. So hip distance apart through those feet. Hips are nice and square towards the front, looking forwards. Eye gaze is up nice and tall through the body. On our inhale, we're going to drop down through that back leg. Exhale as we drive through both legs to standing. Inhale, lower down through both legs here, 90-degree bend through both knees. Exhale as we come up to standing. Once again, back knee is dropping down underneath the body. Front knee is stacked over that front ankle. So nice equal bend through both knees. Back knee drops all the way down, really close to the ground here. Get deep into that lunge. Chest stays proud, shoulders stay back. Still activated through those core muscles. Heavy into that front heel and those back toes as we come up to standing. We won't be here for too long. We've got 20. Then we bring it down for that little pulse to finish. Then we get to stretch it out. We've got another 10. We lower into that lunge in 8, 5, 3, 2. On that next one, come all the way down. Tiny little pulses at the bottom. 1 inch up, 1 inch down. I know it's burning. We've got 8. Stay low. 6. Little shake out in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stand it up. Little shake out of those legs. Beautiful job, guys. We're going to come down onto our mat for a big stretch here. We're going to lie down onto our backs. Left ankle is going to tuck over that right knee. And we're going to either press down onto that left knee, or maybe we prefer to hug that right knee in. So interlace those fingertips behind that right thigh. Figure 4 stretch here. We should feel a nice stretch into that left butt cheek. Try and melt that upper body down to the ground. Pull that knee in a little bit closer to our chest. Feel a nice deep stretch through that left leg, that left glute. Maybe taking a gentle rock from side to side, a little massage into that butt cheek. And then slowly bring it back to center. Right leg goes down, left leg goes to the floor, right ankle over left knee. Either press down onto that right knee, or maybe we prefer to hug that left thigh in towards our chest, interlace those fingertips behind that thigh. Nice deep stretch into that right side glute. Slow that breath down. Bring that heart rate back to normal. Pull that knee a little closer towards our chest. Deepen into that stretch. Maybe have a gentle rock from side to side, massaging into that right butt cheek. And then when we are ready, slowly bring it back to center. Lower down through both feet. Roll it forwards. Let's bring it up to standing for one final roll down here. Feet are going to be hip distance apart. Let's take a deep breath in as we reach the arms up overhead. Interlace the fingertips, press the palms to the ceiling, look back at our hands. Deep breath in at the top. And as we exhale, release those hands. Slowly tuck the chin, fold the body in half, one vertebrae at a time to the floor. Let the head hang heavy. Feel that release into the back of the legs, maybe the lower back. And taking a gentle sway here from side to side. Massaging into that lower back here. When we are ready, bring it back to center, tiny tuck through those knees. Slowly restack that spine, back up to standing. Little shoulder roll at the top, in either direction. And we are all done. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed that class. I hope it gave you a little bit of an idea of what Pilates is. If you've never done it before, well done. You just completed your first Pilates class. Just 30 minutes. If you have any questions, come and chat to me. Feel free to give me a message, give me an email, give me a text, whatever. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon in some of my online classes.